Hey guys, hey, this is Anne Marie Bulger will travel. Just a quick thought. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. The other night, I did a workshop Thursday, February 27th. I did a workshop where I was talking about, I was teaching the participants, which were about 35 Black women, about recognizing toxic work environments and learning how to differentiate a toxic work environment from an illegal toxic or hostile work environment. And it was a really great conversation, a delightful group of ladies. But one of the things that I talked about before we got into the training, and it's been on my mind, I just had a conversation with someone else about it, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it as well, is the concept of resilience. And that I really think that we need to redefine resilience as a community, as Black people, and especially as Black women. I think that, as we watch the fall of the empire as we know it, of the United States of America as we know it, and make no question, what you know as the United States of America is done, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know what it's going to come out and be at the other side of what is happening right now, but the country will never be the same. And those of you who want to believe that this can be all undone after the midterms are still not grasping reality and not really paying attention to understanding what's going on, right? But whatever this becomes, it's not going to be the country that I was born into. I know that. It's never going to be the same, because not only do we as Black people now really see the United States of America and white Americans for who they always have been, and you can't unsee it, but you also see the government for what it really is and what it has always been, and the world sees it. Because we are not the only ones who have bought into this idea of the American dream and the best and all this stuff. Other people kind of bought into it too, but I think other countries are now waking up to the reality that it's all been smoke and mirrors all along. But that's not what this video is about. I digress. What this video is about is that as we see the crumbling of the facade, right? I hear, and I mean, I've even participated in some of this narrative. And I actually myself need to have spent some time reevaluating the narrative of resilience. Because while I think resilience is an important thing to have, right? I do feel that the way that we talk about it in terms of the Black community is harmful. Because the way that we've often talked about it is in the context of how much harm Black people can endure and still keep going. How much harm that we can experience and still come out on the other side. And when we talk about these things, we seem to lose the reality that you might survive something, but in surviving it, you don't come out the same. And you are traumatized and you are harmed, and you don't recover from that just because you don't recover from something just because you survived it. When you lose somebody that you love, and I've experienced a lot of loss in the last couple of years, you may learn to live with it, but you're not the same. Resilience allows you to continue and not to completely fall apart. Not everybody has the same level of resilience, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't change you. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't harm you. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't traumatize you. And I think it's important for us to rethink, when people talk about how resilient we are, that it's not a compliment and it's not something that we should wear as a badge of honor. We should not feel good about how well we take a punch. I think as a community, we deserve peace and quiet, and not to have to constantly be in this push-pull situation in a country that constantly lies about who and what it is to everyone and itself, and constantly treats us as if we're not only less than equal citizens, but less than human many times. There's a harm, and we are traumatized as a community. And I really want us to reject this idea that that's normal and it's okay, and because we're resilient, it's going to be all right. It's not going to be all right. We're going to find a way to be all right despite what is happening. But I think it's important for us to acknowledge that what is happening is not okay. It's not normal. And we shouldn't measure our success as a community by how well we take a punch, by how much suffering we can endure, but instead by how well we can come together and support and protect each other during now and whatever is to come. That to me is what I mean when I say redefining resilience. And we need to take back the narrative around resilience. I hate this idea that we were built for this. And I've said it before, and I won't say it anymore, because I had to stop and think about it and think, are we? No, we weren't built for this. No human being is built or should have to be built to endure the things that Black people, especially Black American people, have had to endure in the United States of America from the time that their ancestors were stolen and brought here to up to today. Because some of us don't even know the full history of the things that our grandparents and parents endured. And I think that's also true of people from the Caribbean, who even have a tendency to even pretend a lot of things about their existence in the United States and their existence in the Caribbean, which they don't come from there either. We all came from Africa. And I think there's a tendency to, romanticize slavery and colonialism, or just pretend that it doesn't exist by some Caribbean immigrants. And I can speak to that because that's where my parents are from. And I think as well as immigrants from other places. But the Black experience in the United States, and specifically the Black American experience, is one filled with trauma and forced resilience. People weren't resilient because they wanted to be. They're resilient because they had to be. And I really feel that we have to redefine this idea, that we have to walk away from the idea that our strength is based on how well we take a punch and how much suffering we can take and how much punishment we can take. And that we're here to suffer and we'll get our happiness later while they get to have theirs now. I completely reject that idea. And I think that we have to demand that the conversation about resilience be different. And I don't know what it needs to be. And I'm working on putting a live conversation together on this with someone who works on the subject of resilience. Because every time I hear it now, I kind of cringe. Because, I always tell y'all, I don't want to be resilient. I want to be as fragile as a white woman gets to be and as mediocre as white men get to be. I want that level of comfort, right? I don't want to have to keep surviving their bullshit. And I don't think any of us, which is why I had to leave the United States of America, because I need to go be somewhere where I can have some peace, right? And so I think it's important for us as a community to reject this idea that our value and our strength comes out of how much harm we can take. I'd really be interested in what you guys think in the comments, but I really do think we have to redefine resilience for the Black community. Tell me what you think. Bye.